If you're doing local SEO, rank and rents, or just have your own local business, then Reddit is the local SEO hack that you're probably not using. I'm about to show you how I've been using it with clients, getting them more leads just by using Reddit. Okay, let's say that you have a client who is a plumber in Melbourne. Obviously, you're looking for a high value keyword, that type of intent where someone, is actively looking for a plumber, right? So just going to put in best plumber in Melbourne. You can put it in whatever keyword tool that you use. Obviously, it is a very localized keyword. And what we want to see is, are there any Reddit posts that are ranking on page 1 for this particular keyword? Because of course, Reddit is still a trusted source for people who are, trying to get real recommendations from real people. And we can see right here that we have two Reddit pages ranking on page 1 in that discussion and forums section. Now here's what's interesting. You don't have to create your own new post in these local subreddits for this to be a valuable strategy for ranking any type of local business. Actually, what you want to see is you want to see what threads are already ranking on page 1, then check out those threads, see if anyone else is doing what we're about to talk about doing in that thread already, and if the post is archived, which means you cannot make any comments on it, or if it is still accepting comments. That's what we want to see. So I've already pulled up this particular subreddit here. Okay, so this particular post in the Melbourne subreddit was posted only 3 months ago, so that's great. It's very fresh. Definitely not going to be archived, which means we can definitely leave a comment in it. Now, the reason I say I don't want to, take an opportunity, for something like this if someone else is already doing it is because we don't want to be basically seeing who can spend the most money on upvotes here, right? So what I like to see is a thread where no one else, has already taken the top spot with a link out to my client. We've been doing this actually at my agency at Growth Cupid since last fall with great success for local home service businesses. So just scrolling through here, this actually looks great because we don't have any URLs in any of these posts. There's actually not even that many comments on here. So basically all we need to do is you need to have a Reddit account. Ideally you have more than one that you've kind of been, working on to kind of get the comment karma up and things like that. If not, you can buy, Reddit accounts. They have gotten quite expensive in the last year or so. So if you don't want to buy them and you don't have one already, I would definitely start working on some now to kind of, like I said, get that karma up, get those accounts kind of aged. Definitely do not use a VPN to sign up for your Reddit accounts, especially if you're creating more than one, because Reddit has gotten pretty good about looking for people who are spamming Reddit, right? So if they see that you're using a VPN, it's probably not going to work for you getting that account actually one you can actually use. So all I would do if I had a client who was a plumber in Melbourne is I would go into this, join the conversation. Obviously, I'd have to be logged in. Join the conversation, leave a comment recommending whoever my client is, right? Now, I like to kind of toe the line here in terms of not really lying, but not really telling the truth, right? I don't want to just say, oh my God, I used so-and-so and they were amazing. But I want it to feel authentic. So usually the type of comment that I would leave would be something like, I've worked with, XYZ plumber in Melbourne, great guy, blah, 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 stuff like that. Basically whatever is relevant to the niche that your client is in. Of course you can, fabricate it as much as you see fit. But like I said, for me, I like to kind of keep it still, not a full lie, because obviously I have worked with the client. I'm just not specifying in what way that I've worked with them. So that's the kind of stuff that I do. Now, here's what happens. You get your post in here. You're going to end up at the bottom of the page, right? And that's because you're not going to have the upvotes that you need. And Reddit is like that. If you've never used Reddit before, the way that you can basically make sure you show up at the very top is to get the most upvotes. But here's the thing. People sell upvotes, right? So you can buy upvotes. It's pretty inexpensive. Have those kind of dripped out so that your comment ends up at the top of the post. And that's actually the service that I've been doing for clients is, we're identifying these threads and these local subreddits that are ranking for, a relevant keyword that we think will help them get more leads. Go in, leave a comment, then buy upvotes for that comment so that it ends up being, the very top comment whenever someone clicks through to this particular thread on Reddit. I really like that this one right here in particular is only 3 months old, but I will leave comments on, even older posts, a year or older, if they've not been archived and they are ranking on page 1. Okay, let me give you another example here. Okay, so what I have here is Austin, Texas. Again, it's plumber, just the example that I used. This one is from a year ago, but you can see that it is still open for comments. If it was not open, there'd be like a little disclaimer here towards the top of the page telling you that this particular post is archived and it's no longer accepting comments. Normally if I find one that is this old, there's going to be some links already in it. So what I'm looking for is, did the links seem like they were someone else who's an SEO like me or a business owner, of the actual business, or do these seem like they're just like real recommendations? What I'm looking for ideally are real recommendations because, like I said, I don't want to be competing with another agency of who can spend the most money on upvotes because, that's basically a losing game, right? Let's just scroll through here. So we have someone who linked to a business on Google Maps. That's probably a real person. Let's see here. So here we go. 1 year ago, somebody did link. It's linking to actually show a Facebook page, which is kind of weird. So even though, this doesn't seem very natural to me, but this person, maybe it is natural because there's 0 upvotes. It's clearly the bare minimum here. So I would definitely identify this as a subreddit thread that I would want to post in for my client. If I had a plumber in Austin, again, I would just go to the top here, leave a comment that sounds natural, linking out to the particular client. You can see this one has 7 upvotes, which means you would have to buy more than that to basically show up at the top of this thread. And I had pulled up this particular URL for that particular post just to show you the kinds of things that these local subreddit threads can rank for in Google. So position 5 for just Austin plumbers, which is kind of crazy. Position 2 for best plumbers Austin or best plumbers in Austin. This is normally what you are going to see with these local subreddit threads right now because literally nobody is taking advantage of it. Like I said, I've been selling this as a service to local clients since October. We've been doing really well with this with the clients that I have. And so what if you get a client and you get to your local subreddit and, there are no relevant posts. So you say you have somebody who does HVAC repair, something like that, right? And there's no posts in there, where you can leave a comment on. Maybe they're all archived, or there just aren't any that exist, or maybe there's none that are ranking, on page 1 of Google. So that's where you're going to need the multiple Reddit accounts because you're going to want to create your own post, right? Pretending you're looking for help, trying to find somebody to help you out with finding, an HVAC person or whatever in Austin or wherever your client happens to be. Now, what I would do is I would do my initial post very similar to what you see here on screen for this post in the Austin subreddit. Have people respond to you, blah, blah, blah. Then a week or 2 later, come back to this post, you edit it, and then put, update. I ended up using, and you put whatever your client's name is, link out to them, and they were great to work with. So then those are actually, I think, more valuable than it being the top comment because then, it's there at the top, people see it faster, things like that. And as a side benefit, anytime you are linking out to your clients from one of these local subreddits, that ends up being a backlink to your client's website. If I remember correctly, it is a no follow link, but it is still pretty valuable because it is, such a high authority link. But like I said, if you are having to create your own post to get started, that was, like I said, write it like this, come back in a few weeks later, put in the URL. You could also kind of game the commenting here so that maybe none of your clients' competitors get to be a top upvoted one, because you can also buy downvotes. There's tons of places that sell upvotes and downvotes. This is a place that I use. I'll drop that link in the comment. I'm sorry, not in the comment, in the description for you below so that you can check them out. But like I said, there's plenty of places that sell this kind of stuff to do your upvotes, your downvotes. I think that you can even buy actual comments if you need to, as well as, like I said, you can actually buy aged Reddit accounts, but they tend to be rather expensive and they are hard to find these days because everyone is using them, for like affiliate marketing, stuff like that on Reddit. But if you're, like I said, if you have local SEO clients, you maybe are someone who's trying to do your own SEO for your own local business, or if you're doing rank and rents, this works for, any of that type of situation. Like I said, it's been working for GrowthCupid clients since, at least October. Something I highly recommend that you can do. It's very, very undervalued, I think, right now in terms of local SEO because it can actually drive solid leads to local businesses. If you have any questions about doing this, feel free to leave a comment for me below and I will answer that if I can. And if it's something that I don't really know about, then I'll see if I can't, find someone to refer you to get you an answer to that. And if you have actually tried this out already for, yourself, your local SEO clients, or your rank and rent, go ahead and leave me a comment below and let me know how that turned out for you. I've been having a really hard time finding people who are actually doing this, so I'm curious how it's working for everyone else. All right, thanks for watching.